Good morning, good afternoon, everybody here. So thank you for coming back to my videos again here. So today we're going to talk about simplifying expressions 2. So I already have simplifying expressions 1 already uploaded. So we're going to go ahead and talk about more details on simplifying more intricate type of expressions. So we are on page 382 to 389. We're in that blue high-set book by Kaplan. Again, it's going to be like this here if you're following along with me out here in Southern Nevada or elsewhere. This is the book I use for all of my classes, my online classes that it is there. So please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. I have an introductory video of our College of Southern Nevada GED program and other things there, contact information if you need to know more information. However, I am the online math teacher here, and I've gotten a lot of good reviews and raves of teaching this wonderful course of mathematics. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just get started on page 382, 383 on more of simplifying expressions. And let's get a little warm up here going on to see what we've learned from the last video. So we're going to go ahead and simplify. And also I'm going to bring in another little statement here. How are you going to see this asked on the high set? Which of the following is equal to? So whenever you see this kind of question, it's going to be something of combining like terms. So you got to know that. So which of the following is equal to, and let's go ahead and put up some terms here, some polynomials. Polynomials and terms have been defined in my last video. So negative 9 plus 2x. And let's bring in some other polynomials here. Let's say plus 3 x to the third power minus 4 minus 6x, and let's say minus 4x to the 3. So this is kind of like, level 3 out of level 5. If you can solve these kind of problems here, you're well on your way of understanding this material of simplifying expressions. Okay, where are we going to start? So first of all, we're going to look for variables with the highest exponent. I'm going to look here, see 3x to the third. There's a 4x to the 3 here, and that's all there is. Now we're going to look for the x terms. We have an x term here. We got an x term over here. And then finally, we have the numbers by themselves. So what you're going to do below your scrap paper is this. You're going to have your x to the third terms. You're going to have your x terms. And then you're going to have your hashtag. These are your numbered terms here. Your numbers are going to go here. Now go ahead and grab the frontal numbers or coefficients with their associated sign and write it here. So x to the 3, this is plus 3, so we can just write this 3. And the other x to the 3 is minus 4. So we have that. Now for the x's by themselves, we have here 2 minus 6. And then lastly, for the numbers by themselves, we have here negative 9 minus 4. So all I did was I grabbed off the frontal coefficients and the numbers by themselves, and we set them over here in this nice little list here. Okay, so 3 minus 4, this is going to be rule 2. Again, I have those integer rules laid out for us on my YouTube channel there, so go ahead and check up rules 1 through 4 and how we deal with operations on signed numbers. So we got rule 2 there, then we have another rule 2 here. I got 2 minus 6, and then I have a little rule 1 action here because these two integers have the same signs. Okay. So 3 minus 4 is going to be big, take away small. 4 minus 3 is 1. And keep the sign from the larger integer. It's going to be off the negative 4, so it's negative 1 x to the 3. And then 2 minus 6. So it's 6 minus 2 is going to be 4 minus sign. Keep the sign from the larger integer. That's the x term. And then lastly, we got negative 9 minus 4. So we're going to add them up. Keep the sign you're working with according to the rule 1. That's going to be negative 13. Keep the sign you're working with. Add them up, keep the sign. Okay, perfect. So then we're going to write all of these terms in horizontal fashion. So negative 1x to the 3 minus 4x and minus 13. If you have a coefficient of 1, you will not see it in any multiple choice selection. It is understood that there's an imaginary 1 there. However, that negative sign has to be there. We have a final answer of negative x to the 3 minus 4x minus 13. Final answer. Okay, so that's our warm-up for today here. And if this seems a little different, go back to my previous video on simplifying expressions, video number 1. This is video number 2 in the series. So let's go ahead now. We're going to bring in rule number 4, multiplication. So again, I have rule number 4 outlined in my video discussion. Rule 4 involves multiplication and division. So you'll check out the video on how to deal with signs, and I'm just going to go ahead and put up some examples dealing with distribution. Okay, so we're going to practice distribution, and then we're going to bring in back simplifying like terms after we do the distribution. And distribution is going to be dealing with rule number 4. That's the multiplication rule. Okay, again, we're going to reset our features back to 0, and then we're just going to build as we go along. Okay, let's start off nice and simple. Let's say we have a 3 outside the parentheses, and we have 2x plus 4. So which of the following is equal to? So first of all, here we're going to go and do the distribution. We're going to be multiplying this 3 with everything inside the parentheses. So we're going to take that 3 and multiply it with the 2x. And then we're going to take the 3 and multiply it with the 4. So that's all we're going to do here is we're going to take that 3, and they call it distributed with the 2 terms inside. I like to call it take the 3 and multiply it with everything inside according to rule 4. So what you're going to do here is you're just going to multiply the numbers according to rule 4, and this is all positive here. So 3 times 2 is going to be ordinary 6, and the x is just going to come along for the right like that, stuck on as a product. 3 times 4 is 12. And that's it on that. There's no letters here. So then we can go ahead and come up with the final expression of 6x. And 12 is positive. You just put that plus sign there, plus 12. So this is what distribution is all about here. If you see numbers that are outside the parentheses, eventually there's going to be polynomials that we have to do distribution. That's a little later on. So here all we have to do is just multiply according to integer rule number 4 and get an expression here, and then you can go ahead and do whatever else you need to do. But right now, we're just focusing on distribution. Okay. So that's it. 6x plus 12 is the final answer for doing the distribution on this. Let's bring in the integer sign rules of number 4. So negative 4. 4x to the second power minus 5. So again, we're doing distribution rule number 4. You're going to take that negative 4, multiply it with everything inside. So then negative 4 is going to multiply with the 4x squared. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Figure that out in a little bit. Then we're going to take that same negative 4 and multiply it with the negative 5. So again, we're working with integer rule number 4. So if the signs are different, it's an automatic negative here. So you got negative 4 times positive 4. You're going to get negative 16. And just bring x squared along for the right, slap it together as a product. That's done. Now, negative 4 times negative 5, the signs are the same. You're going to get a positive 20 out of the deal. So remember, this is rule number 4. Don't get rule number 4 and rule number 1 mixed up here. Very, very popular for students wanting to think that this is going to be negative 20 because you're going to keep the sign you're working with. That's rule number 1. So make sure you keep rule number 1 in this corner. And now we're working with rule number 4 of multiplication in this corner here. Lastly, just put them together as an expression. So this is negative 16 x squared. And then at 20 is positive, put that plus sign there, f plus 20. So that's a successful distribution with this negative 4 with the stuff inside the parentheses. Now, if we had 3 terms inside the parentheses, then we would multiply whatever we have outside here by the 3 terms here, and then we can put it together and take on the second part of the problem. One more example of distribution, and then we're going to apply this to simplifying expressions using rule 4. Okay, negative 7. So let's say we have here negative 3a to the second power minus 4a and plus 1. Close the parentheses. So we're going to take this negative 7 and multiply it with everything that's inside the parentheses, with all the numbers there. And we're going to have it look like this. So negative 7, multiply it with negative 3. It's going to equal something. And then you're going to have that same negative 7, multiply it with the negative 4. Equals. And then finally, negative 7 is going to get multiplied with the positive 1 on the end there. Equals. Okay, negative times negative, this is rule 4. You're going to have a positive 21. Signs are the same. You get an automatic positive here. And then just bring in a squared and slap it on together as a product. Negative 7 times negative 4, signs are the same. So you're going to have a positive 28. And then just, what's this? This is a here. Bring the a here. Slap it on together. And that's the end of that. And negative 7 times positive 1 is negative 7. So we have our successful distribution here. All we have to do is put everything together as an expression of 21a squared plus 28, because this is positive. You got to put a sign here in your operations, 28a, and then we have minus 7. And this is as far as you can go here. Nothing, you can do anything else here. Remember, if the variable and exponents are different, you cannot combine them. Numbers cannot be combined with any terms. Final answer. Okay, well, let's go on and take a look at doing distribution with combining like terms. Okay, let's say we got negative 8 for the front runner here, minus 5, 3a squared, minus 4, close the parentheses, and then minus 2a squared. All right, that's enough over there. Okay, so which of the following is equal to, and you have all this here, and you probably have thought, well, how am I going to even solve this here? But now that you've already seen a couple of my videos here, and now that you see here, you have to recognize that you have to do this distribution first and get everything into single terms, and then we can go back and use rule 1 and rule 2 in order to finish up combining these like terms to a nice compact expression. So again, remember, this is rule 4 here that we have to deal with first. I can't do anything else here. So then, let's do this here. Negative 8. Now we have a negative 5 going into a positive 3. So what's negative 5 times positive 3? Well, that's going to be, and I'm going to put it in red here so you see what's happening here. Negative 15. A to the second power. Just slap it on as a product there. That's done. Now we're going to take that -5 again. Remember, make sure you take the entire sign here on this. You got to do -5 when you do the distribution here inside the parentheses. -5 times -4 is +20. Successful distribution. Don't forget this -2a squared. We're ready for rule 1 and rule 2. Go after the variables with the highest exponent first, because that's going to come front, and then you can put the number on the end, because that's the housekeeping rule that's got to happen. A squared. So what's the a squared? -15 minus 2 equals, and then let's see here. What do you got? The numbers by themselves here. Let's use a different color here. So we got -8 plus 20. So the hashtag means number. And for the numbers, what we got? -8 plus 20. And that's going to equal to something. Okay, so see, and again, making this list is very effective. So this way you don't miss a sign, because now we have here rule 1. And this guy here, the signs are different. This is rule 2 of subtraction. So rule 1, add them. So 15 plus 2 is going to be 17. And keep the sign you're working with. See, notice rule 1 is keep the sign you're working with. Rule 4, if you have 2 negatives, you get a positive. So -17a to the second power. And -8 plus 20, you got to do the subtraction. So 20 minus 8 is 12. Keep the sign from the larger integer. It's off to 20. We're all good. -17a squared plus 12. And that's our final answer. Any questions on that? You review that. I'm going to do another example. So which of the following is equal to? This is the process that you got to take in order to come up with this expression here. Whenever you got parentheses and there's a number outside the parentheses like this, distribution. How are we doing there so far? Hopefully everybody's doing good there. Got more problems to come, more videos to come. So let's say we're going to now add a little bit of features here. Let's say we have here a -4x squared minus 6x plus 3 plus 2x squared, let's say minus 3x, and minus 4. Okay, so which of the following is equal to all this here? Well, I can't do anything here because, first of all, here I have this minus sign. That's the lead sign for this entire expression here. And then I got this 3 here. That's the lead number for this stuff inside here. So I cannot do any rule 1 or rule 2 until I get rule 4 taken care of first. Okay, so I got a minus sign, but there's no number in the front there. So what's going to happen here? So if there's no number here, just stick a 1 in there. Now I'm going to show you what's going to happen real nice here. The numbers are not going to change. However, their signs are going to change to the opposite since I got a -1 going into the process here. So -1 times +4 is -4x squared. -1 times -6. Signs are the same. That's going to give me what? +6x. Signs are the same. It's an automatic positive, rule 4. -1 times +3 is going to be -3. And the parentheses are taken off, so I successfully did a distribution with -1 across these terms here. So I have a positive, a negative, and a positive, and in the end, I'm going to have a negative and a positive and a negative. See how the signs switch directions? But the values are not going to change since there's a 1 going into the deal here. So that takes care of this. Now we're going to take a look at the second distribution phase here. We're going to take that +3 and multiply with everything inside this set of parentheses. Okay, so positive 3 times positive 2 is positive 6x squared. Positive 3 times negative 3x is going to be minus 9, and just bring the x down for the right, just like that. Positive 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, number by itself. Okay, we got the distribution taken care of here. Now we're ready for rule 1 and rule 2 here in this phase. Rule 1 and rule 2. Gather up your x squareds. Gather up your x's. Gather up your numbers by themselves according to rule 1 and rule 2. Make a list. X squared. What's the coefficient here? Negative 4 plus 6. Actually, let's put that in red so you see where the stuff's coming from. Negative 4 plus 6. The x coefficients are going to be, that's the green one, so we'll put the green here. So that's going to be 6 minus 9. So that takes care of that. And then we have the numbers by themselves. And that is going to be, see here, numbers by themselves. What do we got here? Negative 3 up there, so negative 3 minus 12. Make sure you bring down all the signs or watch your signs, so this way you can have a final result in the end. Identify the rules. Make it easier for you. Signs are different. This is rule 2. This is signs are different, rule 2. Signs are the same, rule 1. So, you stand back, you take a look. You see how we took care of that rule 4 first? We took care of rule 4 first, got everything distribution. Rule 1 or rule 2 never came into that first phase. And now we're going to take care of rule 1 and rule 2 in this part here when we finally gather up our coefficients. Here's our list. Rule 1 or rule 2 in action here. 6 minus 4 is 2. Keep the sign from the larger integer off the positive 6. Slap on the x squared. 6 minus 9 is rule 2. 9 minus 6 is 3. Keep the sign from the larger integer, negative 3x. And negative 3 minus 12 is going to be, so add them up here. So make sure you're adding. So that's going to be negative 15. Keep the sign you're working with, rule 1. Okay, we have everything here. We're going to have a drum roll. We're ready for our final answer, 2x squared minus 3x minus 15. That's final answer. See, you can do this stuff now that you've seen a couple of these videos here. Now when you look at combining like terms, simplifying expressions should already start to be gelling in our heads there a little bit. How about that? Any questions? Hopefully not. So again, it's just examples after examples. That's all. Just got to remember you're going to take care of distributions first, and then you take care of rule 1 and rule 2 in the end. So like I've said before in past videos here, my videos are going to be approximately 20 to 30 minutes in length, so this way I don't lose my audience and bore and put too much information into one segment. So all my videos are going to be about 20-minute segments. They're keeping everything in reasonable detail so none of us hopefully don't fall asleep over there and lose what we're talking about. Let's do another example. So let's say we have negative 5, negative 7, x to the third power, minus 6, plus 3, x to the third power, minus 2. Okay, so I have to take care of rule 4 first before I can do anything with rule 1 or rule 2. Multiply the negative 5 with the negative 7, and multiply the negative 5 with the negative 6 first. We're going to take care of that first. So negative times negative is positive 35. X to the 3, see the x to the 3 is just going to come along for the ride like we've done before. And negative 5 times negative 6 is positive 30. rule 4. So we got this taken care of. So now we're going to look at the next distribution here and see how we're going to handle positive 3 with what's going on here, and positive 3 with that negative 2. Now remember, no coefficient, put a 1 in there. So now you got 3 times 1. This is positive, so it's plus 3 x to the third power. And 3 times negative 2, signs are different, automatic negative, negative 6. Okay, that's it. Rule 4 is done. Now we're going to take care of rule 1 and rule number 2. All right, so we got x to the 3, x to the 3 here, and then we have our numbers by themselves. So x to the 3. Now I'm going to start writing this in black. Now you kind of get the idea here. You saw what I did in the color in the last couple examples. So we got 35 plus 3 for the x to the third coefficients. And then we have the numbers by themselves, which is 30 minus 6. Well, 35 plus 3 is 38. So we got 38 over here, 38x to the 3. And then 30 minus 6 is 24, just ordinary subtraction. So 38x to the 3. 24 is positive, put that plus 24 there. And you have a drum roll, you have a final answer, just like that. Polynomials with the highest exponents come first. Numbers are always last. Housekeeping of algebra. And again, it doesn't matter of the order how you're combining these. Just remember in the end, if you have this here, make sure you put the term with the highest exponent variables first, and then numbers, everything else comes middle, and then the numbers are last. And that's our final answer. Okay, so that is simplifying terms using distribution. 2 examples we did here should be pretty much enough here. I'm going to give you 3 examples to work on and provide the solution, and we'll have a final last set of words for this video here. Simplifying expressions 2. So let's say we have here, so for number 1, negative 3, w to the second power minus 2w plus 4 minus 4 2w squared minus 3w and plus 1. So that's example number 1. Now example number 2 is going to be negative a squared minus 7 plus 3 2a squared plus 3. Close that. That takes care of number 2. And number 3 is going to be negative 4. Let's see, what letter we want to use now. Let's use c to the third power, Mr. C, for me, plus 5c. Close that. And then we're going to do plus 7, 2c to the third, minus 3c. Okay, so there you have it there. You can copy these down here. Which of the following are equal to? Remember, these are 3 separate problems here. Take a minute or 2 to do that. Pause the video. Okay, hopefully everybody has gotten a chance to do these 3 problems here. Now for the final solutions here. So first on number 1 here, negative 3 times this w squared, negative 2w, and positive 4. And then we're going to take that negative 4 and multiply it with the positive 2, the negative 3, and then finally the positive 1. Okay, So let's go on and do this. I'm going to write it underneath here. So negative 3 times w squared. No coefficient? No problem. Put a 1 in there. Negative 3 times positive 1 is negative 3w squared. Minus, well, I don't know about minus. Hold on. I don't know about that. So we got negative 3 times negative 2w. That's going to be a positive, right? Negative times negative is positive. 6w. And negative 3 times positive 4, rule 4 says negative 12. Signs are different, automatic negative. So we got that first taken care of here. So negative 3, positive 6, and minus 12. I got to check myself a couple of times because when you talk and write, two things can happen, and you may not want to write something that you didn't mean to write. Negative 4 times positive 2 is negative 8w squared. And negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12w. Remember, rule 4 we're working with. And then negative 4 times positive 1 is negative 4. Okay, we're done with rule number 4. We're going to look at rule 1 and rule 2. Okay, so we have the w squareds. Then we have the w's by themselves. And then finally, we have our numbers by themselves. W squared, W, and numbers by themselves. So we have negative 3 minus 8 for the w's. Then we're going to, or the w squareds, I mean there, sorry. So we're going to have positive 6 plus 12 for the w's. And then for the numbers, what do we have here? We got negative 12 minus 4. So we got negative 12 minus 4 equals. Okay, identify the rules here. This is rule 1, signs are the same. This is rule 1, signs are the same. Oh, rule 1 all the way straight across. All right. Negative 3 minus 8, add them up. Minus 11, keep the sign you're working with. Negative 11w squared. 6 plus 12 is 18w. Negative 12 minus 4 is negative 16, number by itself. Putting it all together in a horizontal, negative 11w squared plus 18w and minus 16. That's our final answer for this guy over here. Okay, let's go on and take a look at number 2 for solving that, for simplifying that expression. Okay, so number 2, notice that there's a minus sign here, but there's no frontal number here. Put a 1 in there. And then we got this positive 3 into here. So this one here, we're going to have negative 1 times whatever's in front of the a squared, and then negative 1 times negative 7. And then you got positive 3 times positive 2, and then positive 3 times positive 3. Okay, so for this one here, so we got negative 1, and then we're going to put a 1 as a coefficient there. So all of our numbers are not going to change the value, but their signs are going to flip. They're going to switch directions. So negative 1 times positive 1 is negative 1a squared. Negative 1 times negative 7 is positive 7. This is rule number 4. Now, positive 3 times positive 2 is positive 6a squared. And then positive 3 times positive 3 is plus 9. Okay, so we're ready to put this all together here. So we're going to have here negative 1a squared, positive 6a squared, and then you got the numbers by themselves. So I'm not going to bother with the list here. Hopefully you can start seeing how things are going on here. So you got negative 1 plus 6, rule 2. 5a squared. So again, I'll just write it here. Negative 1 plus 6. So that's this one over here for the a squared. And then the numbers, it's just 7 plus 9. You can see that there's 16. And that's it. That's the final answer for this one over here. -1 plus 6 is going to leave me with +5. Keep the sign for the larger integer. All good. Final answer. Okay, that takes care of number 2 here. Now let's go ahead and take a look at number 3. So -4 times whatever's in front of c to the third, and then times this 5 here. So that takes care of that. +7 times 2, and then +7 times -3. Okay, no coefficient there, put a 1 in there. -4 times +1 is -4c to the third power. And then -4 times +5 is -20, automatic negative. -20c. Now for the next one, 7 times 2 is +14 c to the 3. And then 7 times -3 is -21c. Okay, distribution is taken care of here. Rule 1 and Rule 2 are next. Combine C3s, combine the C's by themselves. -4 and 14, that's rule number 2. That's going to give me 14 minus 4 is 10. So you got 10 c to the 3. Again, -4 plus 14. And then what do we got here? -20 minus 21. So that's rule number 1. That's going to give me -41 c by itself. Okay, put it in horizontal, 10, +10 c to the 3, and -41c. Okay there, folks. That's the final answer on this. Hopefully we're understanding how to simplify expression involving combining like terms, and this is going to be video number 2 with distribution. So basically up to this point here, if you are working out of your HiSET books there, if you want to take a look at the problems on page 383, you can also review page 382 to 383. And you can work on questions 1 through 10. So we have that there, 1 through 10, as you can see there, if you take a look there, all involves simplifying expressions. We're not going to worry about 11 through 20. That's another video on evaluating expressions. And I want you to also work on you want to take a look at page 388 through 389 and work on questions 1 through 37. You can work on the whole page there. On page 389, they're talking about like or unlike terms there, so you should be able to cover and answer all those questions on like or alike terms. Section B involves simplify each expression by combining like terms. And then section C are a little bit of word problem, action problems that you're going to see on your HiSET or GED, whichever version you are taking. All right there. Hopefully you got some use out of this video here. This is going to be conclusion. We're going to be wrapping up here our video. Hopefully you are understanding simplifying expressions using distribution there. More videos to follow. Have a wonderful day there. Take care.